Now, let us consider the nature of avinabhava, that is the binding relation between hetu and sadhya. Although Dinnaga talked about the invariable concomitance, that is avinabhava type of relation between hetu and sadhya, the relation of concomitance as formulated by Dinnaga was a part of the triple character of hetu. It was limited to the domain of similar and dissimilar cases, that is sapaksha and vipaksha. The passage of inferential cognition in Dinnaga's framework from observed to unobserved. That is why Dinnaga, while giving examples of anvaya and vyatireka, uses the word drushtam, that is, it is observed that. Dharmakirti did not use the word drushtam in his formulation of the statements of avinabhava, but he uses the words like siddha, he uses the word eva, he uses the word sarvam indicating universality and asambhava indicating impossibility. So, through these words he indicates necessity, universality and impossibility, that is impossibility of deviation. This shows that while for Dinnaga the relation of concomitance was restricted to observed, similar and dissimilar instances, for Dharmakirti the relation should be pervasive enough to include all cases, observed and unobserved. Dharmakirti in Hetubindu uses the term sarvopasamharena vyaptihi to express such universality. This universality cannot be based on simple observation and non-observation, because the possibility of deviation, the possibility that hetu may exist without sadhya still remains there. In other words, the basis of this universality according to Dharmakirti should be some kind of necessity. The next question was how the necessary relation between hetu and sadhya becomes available. According to Dharmakirti, this necessary relation is possible in two ways. Either probans and probandum are two aspects of one and the same thing, such that one of them, that is the probans aspect, cannot exist without the other aspect, that is probandum aspect. In other words, vyapti relation would either involve analytic necessity or synthetic necessity. Such an interpretation of the two types of vyapti was first pointed out by Sherbatsky under the influence of Kant's analytic synthetic distinction. So, this is about the concept of necessity in general, and now let us see how the concept of analytic necessity is available in Dharmakirti's theory. So, the instances such as all brothers are male, or every human is an animal, and every Shivashapa is a tree, these are the instances of universal statements, all these are analytic truths. In Dharmakirti's scheme, these statements indicate pervasion based on identity, that is pervasion based on tadatmya relation. This identity refers to pervaded relation, that is vyapya vyapaka bhava relation between two aspects, two swabhavas between of one and the same thing, two aspects of one and the same thing. Dharmakirti includes under this category the statements such as whatever is real is impermanent. He establishes the statement, this universal statement, by defining real, that is sat, as arthakriyakari, that is that which has causal efficacy, and by deriving momentariness from it. Accordingly, a thing cannot have realness as its swabhava unless the thing is active and functional, but activity or functionality as swabhava does not make sense without another swabhava, namely change or impermanence. In this way, if things are real by their very nature, then it necessarily follows that they are impermanent. So, everything that exists is functional and everything that is functional is impermanent can be treated as analytically true statements in Dharmakirti's framework. Now, the other type of necessity is synthetic necessity, and in Dharmakirti's framework it becomes causal necessity. Now, whereas analytic necessity can be understood in terms of class membership relation and class subclass relation, a synthetic relation is a relation between members of two different classes. Can such a relation be necessary? This was a question. Generally, it would be expected that a synthetic relation cannot be necessary. It is always contingent. For example, say let us take the class of all cats and class of all dogs, and cat and dog, they are mutually exclusive classes. So, there is no necessary relation between them. But Dharmakirti holds that under certain conditions there can be necessary relation between members of two different classes. What is that condition? Dharmakirti opines that a synthetic necessity can be necessary if it is a causal relation. Dharmakirti seems to be having the following kind of reasoning behind this. Suppose A and B are two different objects and we are in a position to infer the existence of B with certainty on the basis of A, then we should be in a position to make following sorts of statements about A and B. One statement is A cannot possibly exist without B, or existence of A can be necessitated by B, or A is there because of B. All this boils down to saying that A must be caused by B. On these lines, any binding connection between two different things or events turns out to be a causal relation. To say that there is a synthetic necessity which has nothing to do with causality is meaningless according to Dharmakirti. In this way, we can say that though Dharmakirti generally formulates his theory of inference in terms of Dinnaga's formula of triple character of Hetu, he interprets the three characteristics in such a way that it amounts to a deviation from Dinnaga's theory of inference as strong analogical reasoning and landing in a theory of inference as sound reasoning based on universal and necessary relation between Hetu and Sadhya. The difference between them at the level of inference for others, that is Parartha Anumana, has implications to their theories of inference for others. How Dharmakirti deviates from Dinnaga in their theories of inference for others will be the subject matter of the next module. So, thank you for bearing with me.